Diabolius in musica is what the old musicians used to say about the tritone, meaning devil in music. Probably because of the tension and the strong dissonance that cried for release. No, it demanded release. And so where do we find these tritones? We find them within any five chord. Five chord meaning the chord based on the fifth note of any scale. For example, the five chord of C would be G7, the five chord of F would be C7, the five chord of E flat would be B flat 7, so on and so forth. So in some musical circles, this is referred to as the dominant chord, the dominant seventh chord, or just simply the five chord. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's start off with what the heck are tritones? Well, let's take a look down here. The tritone is based on the tritone scale, which is a four-note scale made up of whole tones. So if I were to start on C, whole tone, whole tone, whole tone, 1, 2, 3, 4. And if I were to take the C and put it up here, then I could do another tritone scale made up of three whole tones. Whole tone, whole tone, whole tone. So that's basically what the tritone is. It's made up of three whole tones, but it also divides the octave exactly at the halfway point. So three whole tones to here and three whole tones to there. So the outside parts create either an augmented fourth or diminished fifth. Let's take a look at that. From C to F is a fourth, sharp four, so an augmented fourth or a diminished fifth. Likewise, if I invert it and put the C up here, plus 4, augmented 4, or diminished fifth. The tritone is what stabilizes our major scale, which is based on the Ionian mode, because the tritone is found between the fourth and the seventh note of the scale. Let me go up the C scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's my tritone. No wonder they call it the devil in music, because it must resolve. It feels that it has to resolve, and it resolves by step, either outward or inward. Or inward. It resolves outward towards the tonic chord C. Even upon inversion, if I put the F up here, the F, the fourth falls to the third, and the leading tone, the 7 note, leads up to the tonic. The tritone is what moves our music forward. If I were to do, there's the tritone, it's got to resolve, moves our music forward. So let's do a little review. Remember that the tritones are found between the fourth note and the seventh note of the scale. Let's take a look at the F scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The 4 falls to the third, the leading tone rises up, so they move outward. If I were to invert that, they'll move in to the same notes, but they'll come in together. If I go up by G scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They'll resolve outward to the tonic chord G, or if I invert it. So now we know that tritones are found on all five chords, providing you add the seventh. If you don't add the seventh to your five chord, you won't have a tritone. Therefore, there'll be no push for the five chord to want to go back to the one chord. But the root of the five chord also holds a secret that we should take a look at. So if I was in the key of F major, the five chord, of course, would be C7. But if I looked at the root of the five chord, the C, and played it in an octave, what if I wanted to find exactly the halfway point between those two C's? Well, of course, that would be a tritone, wouldn't it? So I'd simply just have to count down three whole tones, or up three whole tones from the lower C. And what note do you think that you would find? Well, if you said G flat, you'd be right on. and G flat represents the root of the flat 2 chord. Both these chords, the flat 2 and the 5 chord, share the same tritone. Both of those chords want to return back to the tonic 1 chord. But a picture's worth 1,000 words. Let me use the example to see, and I'll show you on the keyboard. Here are my tritones for G7. If I take the G bass and make it an octave, how to find the tritone between these two Gs? Well, we know it's either up 3 whole tones or down 3 whole tones. 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3. So now let's talk about the flat 2 chord. Okay, if this is a 1 chord and that's a 4 chord, the 2 chord will be D minor, again using the notes out of the scale. To make that a flat 2 chord, I just simply flatten the root in the 5th, so it goes from a D minor to a D flat. I'm going to add the 7, and guess what? I created the same tritone that I had for the C scale. Both go back to the tonic chord. So now we have 2 different approaches into the tonic chord. Many songs use what we call a subdominant to a dominant to a tonic. This is kind of setting up an authentic cadence as a 2, 5, 1. I could also have 2, flat 2, going to the same place. If I was doing that with F, there's my F, there's my C7, there's my tritone. Or I could use the flat 2. So now you have a little more option in your arrangements. You can do a 2, 5 to 1, or you can do a flat 2 into a 1. Okay, let me give you some examples of a 2, 5 and a 1, or a 2 flat 2 into the 1. I'll use C as my example, D minor 9 into a G13, into the 1 chord, C major 9, back to my 2 chord, D minor 9. I'm going to go through the flat 2, D flat 7, and into my tonic 1 chord, C major 9. If I were to do that in the key of F, well, I'll start on my 2 chord, G minor. So here I'm doing a G minor 9, C9, 5 chord, and into an F major 9. Same thing, but going through the flat 2, arriving at the same location. G minor 9, F major 9. If I want to do it in the key of G, well, the 2 chords A minor 9, to a D13, that's my 5 chord, into a G major 7, back to my 2 chord, A minor 9, A flat 9, augmented 11, and into my G major 7 chord. Well, I hope you enjoyed my tutorial on the tritones. I always find them quite fascinating because they move your music around in all kinds of directions. There's the normal direction of a 2-5-1, which I discussed, but they can also send you right over to another side of the spectrum and take you off in a totally different direction, which we'll get into in the subject of tonicization in a future tutorial. So be sure to check out the other tutorials that I have on my website. So for now, it's been fun. Take care. Bye for now.